Hi there, and welcome to Our Mind. In this video, we're going to be delving into the psychology of making a change, whether it's a new healthy habit or letting go of a bad habit that no longer serves you. But if you are struggling with change, you're certainly not alone. In fact, it's part of how the human mind is wired to function. So what is that one universal truth that holds us back from making a change? The answer is fear. Fear driven by that little critter part of the brain called the amygdala that gets fired up in angst when we think we're at risk of death. See, once upon a time when we were hunter-gatherers living in a tribe, if we failed to conform to the rules and regulations, we would be at risk of being rejected, and we would be banished from the tribe and at risk of being killed or left to fend against the elements. Evolutionarily, this fear-sensing part of our brain was quite useful. However, these days, this fear of stepping into the unknown no longer carries a risk of death. Well, most of the time. So in terms of making a change, most of us hold ourselves back for fear of failure, demanding a guarantee that this will work before we've even started, before we risk making ourselves vulnerable to rejection, failure, or criticism. But we will always have to put in energy, time, money, and emotions into something without knowing if it'll turn out exactly as we hope. This can be intimidating, which is why people never act on their dreams. I love this phrase, and I want you to keep this in mind when your inner critic arcs up. What if I fail? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? Okay, so what's all this fuss about habit? Habit is all about how the human mind works. We crave predictability. We want to stick with what works and make order from the chaos of the world. So much so that 40% of our day is run on habits. The wiring of habits is controlled by the more primitive part of our brain called the basal ganglia. It helps us save energy without having to reprocess every single thing, and saves up space for the rest of our brains to focus on more effective decision-making. On the other hand, the ability to consciously choose our actions is controlled by the outer part, or neocortex of the brain. However, this takes a lot more effort, and as you know, it's hard work trying to overcome our lack of motivation or other obstacles or fear of death. So how do we do it? There are actually two ways of creating a new habit. The long way is via repetition, doing things over and over again until they become a more permanent habit. But this takes time, effort, and persistence. There is, however, a shortcut to creating a new habit, and this is linked to desire. I mean, if you think of a time when you were so engaged in something, whether it was learning a new hobby or a subject that you loved or a video game you were hooked on, this desire shortcuts the habit loop and you pick it up much, much faster. So if you're able to channel a strong desire for whatever it is that you want to change, you're on the fast track to making a new habit. Let's delve a little more into your desire for making a positive change and the 6 steps to get you there. Step number 1, awareness for change. The first surprising step in the desire for change is in fact discontentment. The biggest changes I've made in my life were around a time when my life was a big hot mess, absolute chaos. It was only after I emerged from the chaos that I realized something. Without that tough time, I wouldn't have made a change for the better. When things aren't going well in our lives, we feel wrong, confused, and frustrated by something. We are able to create awareness for change. We're able to step away from the chaos and be conscious enough to name it for what it is, and use our decision-making power to actively resolve it. A quote from Thomas Edison: "Discontent is the first necessity of progress." Sometimes the first step to growth is a big hot mess, but the fact that you're still breathing, alive and conscious, you have the opportunity to learn and grow and make a change. Step number 2, why should you change? Now this is the real juicy stuff. I want you to think about why you are making a change. What is driving you? You wouldn't make a change for no reason, and you certainly wouldn't stick to it. But if you're crystal clear in your mind as to why you want to make a change, what drives you, what is going to make you get up in the morning and make a difference, that's what's going to get you through the tough time. A deeper sense of purpose that's true and unique only to you. And I want you to really take it a step deeper, not just, oh, I want to feel better. For example, do you want to do this to have more energy, to get up and exercise in the morning, to be a better partner, or to improve your physical health, to feel good within your own skin? It's important to be as specific as possible. General desires just get shoved under the rug. And sometimes it takes a bit of digging to find out what drives you and use that to move you ahead. Step number 3, challenge your objections. So what does happiness mean to you? Can you envision yourself to be a genuinely contented and joyful person? Or does that thought alone make you feel uneasy? The truth is, most of us actually hold ourselves back from our true potential. We place limitations on our joy and success like an invisible roof. And if we get too close or too happy, we self-sabotage our way back to safety. Sound familiar? It's like when life is going too well, we get suspicious. If you're aware what it is that drives you and really break it down, you can then ask yourself an honest question. Do you really want to change? Because if there are subconscious or conscious roadblocks in the way, it'll be like carrying a giant boulder up that mountain to reach your goal. Again, this takes some serious thinking. And you may be like, are you saying that I just don't want to be happy? And of course I'm not. But it is so important to tap into yourself and find out what drives you, what gets you up in the morning. And are you in fact afraid of allowing yourself to be happy? And by becoming aware and recognizing these cognitions, you're giving yourself permission to change. Step number 4, you have the power no matter about your past. So many people see themselves as creations of their past, trapped as victims of circumstance. Now, I am by no means undermining the fact that there is a lot of hardship and injustice in this world, and laws of the universe do provide some limitations. Difficult circumstances can really knock us over. But my question to you is this. How is it that some people who are given every possible advantage, money, education, prospect, and yet can end up in tragic places of drug addiction and unhappiness? Conversely, some people I've even met myself, like here in Africa, where people live on less than $10 a day with no guarantee of their physical safety, are some of the happiest people you'll ever meet. Some people coming from hugely disadvantaged backgrounds can go from absolute poverty to incredible success, like some of our Olympic champions. What can we learn from these individuals and apply to our own lives? We must stop focusing on what brought us here or why we are stuck where we are. Instead, we should focus on where we want to be. We need to focus our energy, time, and thought on the things that we do have power over and spend less energy on the things that we cannot change. You have a new story to write, and it looks nothing like your past. Step number 5, adopting a flexible mind. We can choose growth, or we can choose comfort, but we cannot have both at the same time. So are you ready for the discomfort of change? Growth can be uncomfortable, scary. Listen for a second to the resistance in your mind. Here are some common objections to change. I know this already. I've tried everything already. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. What's the point? This is a toxic mental landscape to be in because it will never give you permission to take a risk and make a change. Some people call these excuses, but I like to call them objections to progress. Your logical brain is yelling a big fat no to change. Again, that cheeky, fear-inducing amygdala is rearing its head and igniting your inner critic. Here's a little reminder. If it's important enough to you, you'll make the time. If not, you'll make an excuse. If you haven't mastered your goal fully, then we always have more to learn and grow, because knowing something intellectually is not the same as living and being the change. You have to train your mind to be open and look for new insights and lessons that will allow you to move ahead instead of being stuck in a bucket of objections. Your incredible mind has the ability to grow new neurons with new experiences and even new thought patterns. We need to let go of resistance and flick the switch from I can't to I'm open and willing to try. Resilience is about adopting a growth mindset that, instead of being afraid of change, actually leans into challenges like bring it on. Step number 6. Are you prepared to put in the work? There's a saying that you may have heard. Don't just give a man a fish, teach him how to fish. And that means for long-term sustainable results, you need to learn the ropes. You have to know how you'll show up every day and what you're willing to take responsibility for. You will have options to act and the confidence to make decisions differently to how you have in the past. But you've got to rise up to the occasion. And habit changing takes conscious effort. You have to dive in without proof of success. All transformational processes begin with a brave decision. And laws of physics determine that if you persist enough, out of the chaos will come order, and the intelligent and responsive universe will align with your goals. So if you are going through a difficult period of your life, you feel like you need to make a change for the better, know that it is absolutely possible. And remember, every time your inner critic says to you, "What if I fail?" remind yourself, "Oh, but my darling, what if I fly?" And never, ever give up on your dreams, no matter what. That's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please head over to the Our Mind blog page to check out our latest blog on how to break bad habits and build new ones. I'll see you there. And by becoming aware and recognizing these cognitions, okay. I have another plane! We're never going to get this done in time. Far East. Or other obstacles. And now I'm sweating like a sweat patch. Perfect. Definitely don't want that one. Which is why most people never act on their dreams. I love this phrase. And I want you to keep this in mind. Okay, pause it.